The detailed description of single-phase half-wave control rectifier with RL load has presented in this lecture session. The working principle under steady-state operation as well as under transient operation both have described in details. So, go through the circuit diagram first. This is the schematic circuit diagram of the single-phase half-control rectifier with RL load. Here we have supplied a AC source which is having the expression that is Vs equal to Vm sin omega t. A thyristor T is there and we have connected the RL load. This is R and this one is L. During positive half cycle, when the supply reaches to a certain value and at the same time when we apply the gate pulse across the gate, then the thyristor is in forward biasing condition and it becomes on. When the thyristor becomes on, the current starts flowing from supply to thyristor, then to load and coming back to supply in this way. In this situation, due to presence of inductor, it can store energy inside it and the voltage across the inductor will reach to the maximum supply voltage, that is Vm, and the polarity of the inductor, it will be positive, this side will be positive and this side will be negative. So this can be also be represented by the waveforms also. See, this is the pattern of the sinusoidal wave and which is given to the supply, that is defined by Vs, and Ig, this is actually defined the gate pulse, V0, that is output voltage across the RL load, I0, that is output current which is flowing through the load RL, and Vt, that is the terminal voltage across the thyristor T. When the supply voltage goes positive and suppose it reaches to a particular value, additionally we are applying the gate pulse across gate with an angle alpha, then what happens when the thyristor is fired, then the output voltage that will be reflected from the supply voltage in this way. So from this point alpha to 180 degree, that is under forward biasing condition, the thyristor was under forward biasing condition, as well as this is actually for the first positive half cycle. That is why the total voltage that should be reflected on the load. So this is the wave shape of the load voltage that will be taken from the shape that is from supply voltage. In this particular region from 0 to 180 degree, then the direction of the current that is defined by this red line. But due to presence of the inductor, the current is gradually increases throughout the circuit, as well as the polarity of the inductor, this one is positive and this one is negative. That means in case of the current waveform, it will start from alpha, that is the firing angle, and for the positive half cycle 0 to pi, then the current is gradually increases to a value due to presence of inductor. That is why current is gradually increases up to this point. So now consider what happened after crossing this crossing this angle pi. So just crossing the angle pi, that means as per the normal behavior of the sine wave, then the supply that is goes to negative. That means we can say immediately the thyristor will be in negative biasing condition. At the same time as in the forward biasing condition, the inductor which has stored the maximum energy due to presence of Vs, and the voltage across the inductor that will reaches the maximum, that is Vs. That means at this particular point just cross the pi, then the inductor try to discharge. As the normal property of an inductor that is known by everyone, when the inductor starts storing energy inside it and the voltage stored inside the inductor, when it will reach the maximum value towards the supply voltage Vs, then the inductor starts discharging. On the other hand, it's known by everyone also, during charging and during discharging, the inductor current remaining same. That means we can say in brief, when the inductor starts storing energy inside it, then the current starts flowing from supply to inductor. When the inductor try to discharge, then the inductor current should flow from inductor to supply in the same direction. That is why this is a normal property of inductor. That means based on this inductor property, when the supply voltage goes negative after pi or after 180 degree, then the inductor polarity has changed. Then the inductor polarity, this side will be positive and it will be negative. Then the inductor try to discharge from this part to this part to this part in this way. That means what? That means charging current of inductor, which is defined by the red line, and discharging current of the inductor, that is defined by the blue line, across the thyristor, both are in same direction, that is left hand side to right hand side. That means we can say thyristor holding current cannot fall below the thyristor anode current cannot fall below holding current, yet the thyristor is in reverse biasing condition after pi. That is why still the thyristor are in conducting state. That is why up to this point means up to the particular point at which the inductor stored energy is not completely discharged, still up to that point the thyristor remaining will be in on state. Same thing can be demonstrated by the waveform also. See, in this particular region, up to the point of pi or 180 degree, from 0 to 180 degree, the inductor has stored energy up to this point. The current is gradually increases from this alpha to 180 degree. After that, when the supply voltage goes negative, still due to the discharging current of the inductor, the charging current and discharging current as both are same, that is why still the thyristor is in working state or in conducting state. That is why similarly the total load voltage that will be followed by the supply voltage up to the particular point, this point where the inductor is completely discharged. Okay, that means from alpha to this point the device still is under working state or conducting state. That is why from alpha to this particular point, the output voltage, the nature of output voltage, that should be exactly equal to the nature of the supply voltage. So that is why we can draw this part just and which will follow the supply voltage, the waveform of supply voltage. So at the particular point at which we assume the inductor is completely discharged, this is called actually extinction angle. So this is actually firing angle, that is defined by alpha, and this point at which the inductor has completely discharged, this is called actually extinction angle. So that means beta minus alpha, this point actually defined by the conduction angle. So this is extinction angle beta, this is actually the this is firing angle alpha, and this angle that is defined by beta minus alpha, this is conduction angle. Okay, that means when the inductor is completely discharged at this point and inductor current is gradually decreases, that is defined by this angle. That means in the first case inductor current is gradually increased to a certain value. When the inductor starts discharging at the point of pi where the supply voltage goes negative, then the inductor tries to discharge and inductor has discharged completely at this point here. That is why inductor current is gradually decreases. The first case that is gradually increases, and here it is gradually decreased up to the point this one. So that means at the point of beta the inductor has completely discharged. That is why then we can say the total negative biasing voltage that is appeared across the thyristor T. Additionally, now the load current is 0. That is why then the thyristor will be in off state. That is why the total conduction time that is defined by beta minus alpha. Okay. So from beta 2 up to the next point, again we are giving the next triggering pulse to the next positive half cycle that will be started from after pi by 2 pi. That means we are giving the next triggering pulse to the 2 pi plus alpha at this point. That is why next pulse has been given over here, that is 2 pi plus alpha. Then again same thing will be repeated. Again the thyristor will be turned on and it starts working up to the point of beta. In this way the next cycle will be repeated. Okay. So in this way we can identify when the thyristor will be in on state, what will be the output voltage waveform. Okay. Now the question is, when the thyristor is in off state, and which is defined here, that is suppose 0 to alpha and beta to 2 pi plus alpha. In this particular region, no voltage is appearing across the load. That is why no voltage, that is 0 voltage is appeared across load at this particular region. Similarly, when the thyristor is completely discharged at the point of beta and again it start storing energy up to the next point that will be started from 2 pi plus alpha. So that means beta to 2 pi plus alpha, again the current across the load that is again 0. So that means when the thyristor is remaining in off position or the thyristor is not working, then the supply voltage that will be appeared across the thyristor. That is why if we are go through the waveform of the Vt that is appeared across when the thyristor is not working state. That is why the voltage is appeared and that is taken from the supply voltage, this part. That is why this voltage is appeared across 0 to pi where the thyristor was in off state. Similarly, again it will be reflected from the next point, that is beta to 2 pi plus alpha. The thyristor was in off state. That is why beta to 2 pi plus alpha still, again the total supply voltage that will be this one that is reflected on the terminal across the switch. In this way the cycle will be repeated. Okay, so we can easily identify when the switch is on, then the supply voltage will be reflected on the load, and due to presence of the inductor the current will be gradually increases. When the switch remaining off, then the supply voltage will be reflected on the switch across the two terminal anode to cathode. So through this discussion, it has been found that in case of forward biasing condition and when the supply voltage has the first positive cycle, I am talking about 0 to pi, then what happened? Then the voltage appeared across the load that is positive. That means in this case the current starts flowing from supply to thyristor, then the load, and in this way. So we can say in this particular case across the load the positive is upper part and the negative is lower part, as well as the direction of the current across the load that is upward to downward direction. In this particular case the inductor has stored energy and the polarity of the inductor is such a way the upper part is positive and lower part is negative, and inductor has stored the maximum voltage up to the point of Vm. Okay, when the next cycle starts from pi to next 2 pi, means when the supply voltage goes negative, immediately the inductor has changed its property, then the lower part will be positive and the upper part will be negative, and inductor try to discharge, and the discharging current that should flow from this part to supply, then thyristor, and then resistance. That means in the both cases the charging current and the discharging current of inductor which starts flowing across the load that is upward to downward direction. So we can say the direction of the current across the load is same. That means we consider this is the positive current. In the first case 0 to 180 degree, the voltage across the voltage across the load, that was the upper part is positive, lower part is negative. That means in the first case I am talking about to alpha to pi, that means voltage and current both are positive. But in the next case, when the inductor starts discharging after crossing pi up to the point of beta, then what happened? Then in this particular case, the supply voltage goes negative. That means pi to beta, the supply voltage is negative, right? That means in this case, from pi to beta, the load voltage will be negative. So this one will be positive and this will be negative. That means voltage across the load, that is negative. But still the current is flowing in the same direction as the inductor starts discharging at this particular region. So that means the current is positive but the voltage is negative. That means we can say in the first case, if we multiply voltage into current in terms of power, that was positive, voltage positive and current positive. In case of the second case, that means voltage is negative but the current is positive, that means it will provide us a negative power. So we can say then the power is feedback to the source. So in the first case, when the power was positive, that means the power is delivered from supply to load. In the second case, when the power is negative, that means then the supply is delivering power to the load. That is why we can say it will cover the two-mode operation. That is defined by this one. Okay. So in the first case, suppose we consider the two axes. This is suppose the current axis, output current axis, and this is voltage. That means in the first case, voltage and current both are positive. That means power which will cover the first quadrant. In the second case, during discharging of the inductor, then the current is positive but the supply voltage is negative. That means we can say the power is negative, which will cover the fourth quadrant operation. In this way, it can cover both quadrant, that is first and fourth. That means from the first quadrant operation, we can say this is actually the rectification operation, and in the second case operation, that is defined by, that is inverting motor operation. So this is all about the working principle during presence of RL load. Now we are going to derive the all equations. Before that, we should understand, as the inductor is there, that is a question for the charging and discharging. That means there are two mode operation we should cover. Number one, steady state operation, where the inductor was fully charged, as well as the inductor behaving like a short circuit, and without any disturbance the current can easily conduct throughout the circuit. But when the inductor starts storing energy inside it, at this particular situation at t equal to 0, that is considered by the transient operation. So first we are going to analyze the steady state operation, then transient operation. First, voltage equation. Okay, that can be formed from the circuit diagram. In the circuit diagram, the supply voltage is, that is Vm sin omega t. Okay, and when the current starts flowing in the circuit, then the first voltage drop occur across resistance R. If we consider the current is I0, that means it can be I0 into R, as well as the inductor is there, and the voltage across the inductor, that is L di dt. That means we can say Vs means Vm sin omega t, that should be equal to I0 into R plus L di0 dt. So we can write the expression, that is Vm sin omega t, that is equal to R into I0 plus L into di0 dt. So the output voltage I0 can be expressed as by two mode operation, that is first steady state operation, which is defined by IST, or suppose this is considered a steady state current, and for transient operation, the transient component of the current, that is defined by ITT. Okay, first for steady state operation. See, the steady state operation, the current I0 constant. So the rate of change of current, that is di dt, that should be 0. That means voltage drop across the inductor, that considered 0. Okay, that is 0. That means, so we can write the equation under steady state operation, that is Vm sin omega t minus phi, that should be equal to IST Z. Why the term stands for phi and Z, as we are using RL load. That is why, due to presence of L, current lags behind the voltage with an any angle, that is phi. As well as due to presence of RL load, we should calculate the impedance part, that is defined by R square plus omega L whole square. Okay? That is why, as the current lags behind the voltage, that is why we can write the expression, that is Vm sine omega t minus phi, that should be equal to I into Z, where Z equal to root over of R square plus omega L square. Okay? So the transient component of the current IST can be defined as Vm sine omega t minus phi by Z. After simplification and putting the value of Z, we can have IST equal to Vm sine omega t minus phi divided by root over of R square plus omega L whole square. So, this is the expression for the current under steady state operation. Okay. Now, for transient operation. Transient operation can occur at the initial condition or at t equal to 0. So, at t equal to 0, see, the output voltage and the output current both are 0. If we consider from 0 to alpha at this particular position, there is no output current. That means under transient case, when at a point of 0, t equal to 0, we can say the output current expression will be 0 as well as the voltage expression will be 0. So we can write, we can replace at the initial condition Vm sine omega t that by 0, and we can write the equation 1 as, that is I into RTT, we assume RTT is a transient current, plus L dit dt equal to 0, and divided the both part by L, so we can get the expression, that is d dt plus R by L ITT. That means integrating factor, that is equal to IF equal to e to the power integration of R by LT. So what is the term? This one is the integrating factor. Actually, we have learned it in our class 12 standard. See, as it is a linear differential equation that can be solved by this method, right? And we have discussed in the class 12 standard, in which we know the solution of the linear differential equation is the form of, if that is dy dt plus p into y equal to q, then the integrating factor that should be equal to e to the power p dx, that is p, okay, and the solution will be ddx of y into integrating factor equal to q into if, means the constant part into if. Okay, so similarly we can write the expression, that is from this linear expression or linear differential equation, we can write the term, this one, as we know this is p, that means the integrating factor equal to e to the power integration of p dx, so that is R by L, so we can say that is e to the power integration of R by L t, that is equal to e to the power R L t after integrating. Okay, that means we can say the solution will be the ddt of, that means dy dt, that means y means this term, that is d dt of, that is ITT into integrating factor. See, that is ITT into integrating factor, that means y into integrating factor. Here y equal to ITT, that is why ITT into integrating factor, okay, and that is equal to q into if, that means here q equal to 0, constant is 0, that means 0 into e to the power R by LT. So after simplification, we can write the expression, that is d into ITT into e to the power r by lt, that is equal to 0. And integrating both sides, we can have, that is ITT into d e to the power r by lt, that is equal to a, is an integral constant. Okay, that means we can simplify the equation, that is ITT equal to a into e to the power minus r by lt. Now we should find out this integrating factor, and that is why we should consider the boundary condition. Whatever, so we can write the complete solution from the above discussion, which is having the two components, that is steady state component and the transient component of the current. That is the complete solution I0t, that is equal to IST for steady state current component plus ITT mean transient current component. We can have the value, that is IST, that I was discussed before, that is IST. That means Vm sin omega t minus phi by root over of r square plus omega l square. That is why we can write the expression in terms of IST, that is Vm sin omega t minus phi by z, and ITT, that is given in this expression, that is a into e to the power minus r by l into t. So this is the complete solution for the I0t. Okay, now we are going to find out the integrating factor, integrating constant, that is a. So first we should understand what is the boundary condition, and that should be taken from the waveforms. See, the constant a can be obtained from the boundary condition at omega t equal to alpha. So first find out at omega 2 equal to alpha what is the value of the voltage or current. So at omega t equal to alpha, that means we can write t equal to alpha by omega, and then I0 equal to 0. Okay, so first find out at omega t equal to alpha. See, at omega t equal to alpha in the waveform, in case of I0, that means I0 equal to 0. This is a no value, that is I0 equal to 0. So we can satisfy this boundary condition, that is at omega t equal to alpha, I0 equal to 0. So we can write the expression, that is Vm sin omega t minus alpha by z plus a into e to the power minus r by l into t, that should be equal to 0, as I0 equal to 0. That is why after simplification we have Vm sin alpha minus phi divided by z plus a into e to the power minus r by l into t equal to 0. As we know, t equal to alpha by omega, just we have put at the value, that is alpha, that is t equal to alpha by omega. So we can have the result, that is the constant part a, that is equal to minus Vm sin alpha minus phi divided by z into e to the power r alpha by l omega. Now we can put this value over the equation number 2. Then we will have the expression, that is I0t equal to Vm sin omega t minus alpha by z minus Vm sin omega t minus alpha by z minus phi by z into e to the power r alpha by l omega into e to the power minus r by lt. After simplification, we can get the result, that is I0t equal to Vm sin omega t minus alpha by z minus Vm sin alpha minus phi by z, and this term can be expressed as exp, that means exponential term, under bracket minus r by l omega, that is the common part, then the remaining parts, that is defined by the first bracket, that is omega t minus alpha. It is also seen that the waveform that I0, that means at omega t equal to beta, then what is the value of I0? So go back to the previous waveform. At omega t equal to beta, in case of the output current, again the I0 equal to 0, just similar to alpha. At alpha, I0 was 0. In this case, at beta, I0 is again 0. So we can form the equation by satisfying at a point of beta I0 equal to 0, then we can write the expression that is equal to 0 equal to Vm sin omega t beta minus alpha. We are replacing the part omega t, we are replacing this part omega t which is found over here, that is replaced by beta. As we assume omega t equal to beta, then I0 equal to 0, that means 0 equal to Vm sin omega t minus, Vm sin beta means omega t means beta minus phi by z. Similarly, Vm sin omega t minus phi by z, the similar expression, and exp exponential of minus r by L omega into beta minus alpha. So finally, after simplification, we can write the expression that is Vm sin omega t beta minus alpha by z, that is equal to Vm sin alpha minus phi by z exponential of minus r by L omega beta minus alpha. And finally, we can get the result that is sin beta minus alpha equal to sin alpha minus phi exp minus r by L omega under bracket beta minus alpha. So this is the final expression for the transient current and total analysis part. So from the above equation, we can solve the point of beta or this extinction angle beta, and easily if we identify the beta, we can calculate the other parameters also. So in this way, we can calculate the transient current as well as steady state current. Now I am talking about the average value and the RMS value of voltage. Since the average output voltage across the inductor is 0, that means what? That means if we consider under steady state operation, and from which we can calculate the average output voltage, that is defined by actually L di dt. For average output voltage, if we consider this I is constant for steady state operation, that means constant of derivative, that should give you 0, right? That means the voltage under steady state operation, the average output voltage across the inductor is 0. As we know, we are using the RL load, that is why we should be focused about the Z part, which is defined by root over of R square plus omega L whole square. But here we assume the average output voltage is 0, that is why Z can be replaced by R only. That is why for the calculating the average value and the RMS value, we never get the Z. We should focus to having the value of R. So average output that is defined by DC, that should be equal to number of peaks by complete cycle integration of confined region voltage expression d omega t, that I discussed in my previous class, number of peaks in the expression. So go to the waveform first. To calculate the average value, number of peaks in a complete cycle. The complete cycle means 0 to 2 pi, that is 0 to 360 degree. In this case, the average output voltage from 0 to 360 degree, that is the number of peaks here, 1 in any direction. If we consider in forward direction, so the voltage, so number of peak for voltage, that is 1. So that can be written as the number of peaks in a complete cycle, that is 1 by 2 pi, it's a complete cycle. And this peak is actually confined from alpha to beta, right? It has started from alpha and up to continued to the beta. That is why integration of alpha to beta, and the voltage expression that should be taken from the supply voltage, that is Vm sin omega t dt. So this is the complete expression to calculate the average output voltage. After simplification, we can rewrite the expression that is Vm by 2 pi by integrating, that is sin omega t, that is minus cos omega t, lower limit alpha and upper limit beta. And considering the upper limit and lower limit, we can simplify the equation, that is Vm by 2 pi cos alpha minus cos beta, and IDC, okay, that is average output current, that is VDC by R, okay, that is why 1 by 2 pi R cos alpha minus cos beta, that is IDC. Now we are going to calculate the VRMS, that is root mean square. That means VRMS equal to 1 by 2 pi integration of alpha to beta Vm sin omega t whole square, that is Vm square sin square omega t d omega t under root, that means root mean square, to calculate the VRMS. So after simplification we will have, that is Vm square by 4 pi integration of alpha to beta 2 sin square omega t d omega t under root. Then we can get Vm by 2 root over pi into integration of alpha to beta 1 minus cos 2 omega t d omega t under root. So after simplification again we can rewrite the expression, that is VRMS equal to Vm by 2 root pi omega t alpha to beta minus 1 by 2 cos 2 omega t alpha to beta under root. That means we consider the limit, that means it can be written as beta minus alpha, and it is sin 2 beta minus 2 alpha. Then this is a complete expression we can write, that is the VRMS or the RMS value of output voltage, that can be Vm by 2 root pi beta minus alpha minus 1 by 2 sin 2 beta minus sin 2 alpha under root. So the RMS value that should be equal to VRMS, so RMS current that should be equal to VRMS by R. That is why we can write the expression IRMS equal to Vm into Vm by 2 root pi R into beta minus alpha minus 1 by 2 sin 2 beta minus sin 2 alpha under root. So in this way we can calculate the average output voltage, average output current, as well as the RMS output voltage and RMS output current. Okay. So this is all about for the operation principle under steady state operation and transient operation for the case of single phase half wave control rectifier with RL load. Thank you.